so today we're going to be reacting to the top 5 most hated gacha games of all time. Let's see what's going on with this. To be honest, I bet Genshin is up there.
So I've spoken a lot about
And if we win this bet, you gotta subscribe.
How gacha players have toxic love-hate relationships with their favorite games. That's basically a line in almost every one of my recent videos. In this video, I want to explore that a little further. While some games on these lists that I make are always high up and appreciated by every single player who talks about them, other games, not so much. So I'm going to take some of these games that I always talk about.
Bro, do y'all remember the time when like Genshin was actually praised? Like, bro, that game used to be praised to high heavens. And then
On my channel, including a few new ones that I haven't spoken about in depth on this channel before, and then I'm going to
one of those are Infinity Nikkei. Hold on. I know that for a fact. I remember that pink girl. I like trust and believe that's Infinity Nikkei. That one is JJK. You could tell because that it literally looks like whatever his name is, Sukuna or whatever. It literally looks like whatever his name, bro. It looked like him. You got the red coat. Like, come on, bro.
Channel,
ain't no way.
including a few new ones that I haven't spoken about in depth on this channel before.
My bad.
Then I'm going
like
to put them on a list based on how much they are hated by both their community and, where applicable, the overall opinion of the internet as well, just to add fuel to the fire. Now, just as a heads up, I was going to make this a one-part video with the second half reserved for the most loved gacha games, but the video just got way too long, so I ended up deciding to split it into 2 parts. The next part will come in a few days, so be on the lookout for that. Before we start with this one though, just make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this in the future, and join the Express Red Discord server for a fun.
Yes, guys, remember, subscribe to the main thing. The link will be in the description for you to subscribe to him. And also, while you're down there, you should subscribe to my channel, hit that thumbs up, and also follow me on Twitch at gbs_Playz. But anyway,
Lovely community to
enough
hang out
for
with.
that.
We are getting closer to 10,000 subs. When we do reach that milestone, I will be doing a big giveaway, so make sure to subscribe, and also, again, join the Express Red Discord server, which will be included in the giveaway rules. Now let's get on to
Sparkle so much, bro.
So like I said, I've gathered a list of games, and alongside the usual few that I mention in my videos, due to just having knowledge and experience with them, I've added some extra games that were recommended by you guys. A couple of them will be mentioned.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie though. Honkai Star Rail is starting to seem like they're going back to peak, but who knows?
Just for this video because they're extreme cases, while others will continue to be mentioned in later videos,
Watch, I'm gonna
including
be right.
Limbus
Right,
Company and Epic 7. The way these 2
subscribe.
videos will work is I will first talk about the most hated games in this video, which are in order, where the number 1 game is going to be the least hated because it has the least reason to be hated. Then I will switch gears and talk about the most loved games in the next part, which every game on that list will have a community with a pretty positive opinion about it in the end. Also, just as a final message, hate is a very strong word. If a gacha game is making money, it's loved by somebody at least. This is all just for entertainment and also not to actually add any fuel to any fire, even though I did joke about that earlier. So with that out of the way, grab some popcorn, strap in, and let's get—
Bro, I ain't gonna lie, I cannot wait until that March comes out, bro.
Get started already. So, to start with our most hated gachas list, we've got a game that started quite a big drama a couple months ago, with the usual suspects of company greed, failing to meet player expectations, and completely losing the trust of basically your entire player base. So most of the information here is already available on Mugen's video about this situation, but since that's 40 minutes long, let me give you the short version. Infinity Nikkei was a very popular game before this whole drama happened. It reached 10 million downloads across multiple platforms, and each one of those players was incredibly positive about the game. However, things started going wrong when Nikkei was preparing for a Steam launch, and they basically tried scamming their players out of a wishlist reward, completely changing up the rewards after their wishlist goal was reached. That obviously went wrong, and they ended up still giving out the previously announced rewards after some backlash. While players were definitely going to look past—
By the way, where he didn't add, they gave out the previous rewards and tried to make it look like that they were listening. They were like, oh, okay, y'all didn't like that we changed the rewards. We're gonna change it back and then make it look like we're giving y'all more stuff when we just giving y'all the same stuff we was gonna give y'all at first, and hope that nobody sees. Like, it was crazy.
Things kept going wrong, with the developers for this game making so many terrible and greedy decisions for this game that it even affected the ratings of their other games, including Love and Deep Space. These mistakes ranged from completely retconning the story, from what used to be a story loved by the entire player base, to basically something that confused everybody who played the previous story, and even made some beloved character stories absolutely make no sense in the new timeline. The greediness also started to ramp up when not only did they introduce new outfits with 11 piece sets instead of the usual 10, which you have to gacha for individually by the way, reducing the rotation frequency of the endgame content, which means players got—
You know, my thing about the whole Nikkei situation is I don't get why they did it. I'm gonna be honest. I have no idea why they did it. Like, you already have Love and Deep Spaces making, like, the female gooners are giving you billions of dollars at that point when they're on that game. Why do more? Like, it literally was just greed. Like, bro, just make a game, let it do what it do, and just relax. I don't know why they decided to do all this extra stuff, to be honest. Like literally, Genshin, like, Hoyoverse does it. Genshin makes the billions, and now Honkai kind of makes the millions, multi-millions, right? But they literally, to be honest with you, bro, they let ZZ do whatever the hell they want comes to a point. Long as it don't get too controversial, they really don't care what the hell they do. But, like, that's what they should have just done it just like that. But I don't know why. I'll be honest.
Got less gacha.
I think they were trying to make it another Love and Deep Space too, though. But maybe, like, you could tell that they were appealing to the female audience more because it's a dress-up game at the end of the day about, like, dresses and all that. Come on now. I wonder who they were trying to get. You know, they got them with Love and Deep Space, so they wanted to see if they can get them with the dress-up darlings, dress to impress type thing.
Currency, changing up the entire new dye system from being completely F2P accessible to becoming almost completely paid, and also making more desirable outfit pieces like hairstyles more than twice as rare as the other less desirable ones. Also, the 1.5 update had a shitload of bugs. While Nikki seems to be recovering from this whole fiasco, with not only both its rating on Google Play Store going from 1.8 after the drama to its current 2.8, and its Steam rating going from overwhelmingly negative to mostly negative, but also Infold's other games' Love and Deep Space rating also going back up.
It was never going to stay down. That game is undefeatable, bro. I ain't gonna lie. Until we get another Gooner game like this, I should play it.
It also recovered financially, proving one theory that gacha players really don't give a shit what you do to them.
Yeah,
Next up, we've got Jujutsu Kaisen Phantom Parade.
How did I know? Never played it, by the way. But how did I know? because it looked just like them, obviously.
Gacha games based off of anime IPs are always incredibly messy. The biggest example of this, which has been fixed, is Fate Grand Order, which started off as probably the most blatant cash grab of all time, trying to capitalize upon the Fate IP with a terribly developed game, insanely gacha rates, and no pity system.
I ain't gonna lie, my thing is, if I see the word Crunchyroll or Bandai Namco come on a gacha game that is a big anime, I don't touch it. I'm gonna be honest, because I know either two things gonna happen. One, it's gonna die within like the first month or two, or two, do I even have to explain?
Although today, FGO Thriving is one of the most successful and most loved anime gacha games of all time, having fixed most, if not all, of the issues that its player base complained about when it first launched, and even started giving out free 5-star servants yearly. They actually fixed so much that, because it launched in Japan at first, its global launch was met with a lot of positivity, because global players just never experienced any of the issues JP players have. And maybe the only thing that came pretty late was the pity system, arriving 4 years after the global launch. Although this is about JJK Phantom Parade and not Fate Grand Order. It is no coincidence I'm talking about FGO though, because Phantom Parade also started off as one of the most blatant cash grabs, trying to capitalize upon its IP of all time. It also started off as a terribly developed, greedy mess, but there's an added bonus here that made players hate the game even more. So to start off, the game had very little content when it first launched, with some players reporting starting multiple accounts just to keep playing the game, and even then quickly running out of actual things to do, like story quests and events. When it first launched in global, it didn't have proper endgame content, making the game feel even more boring and entirely pointless. The gacha system was also pretty bad, with you not only
you just made it into a video. Good job for you. Thanks for that subscribe, by the way.
Having to pull on characters with a 0.7
if you ever see this
7% rate for limited SSRs, but also memories, which are used to buff characters. And
remember, guys, if you want your thing to pop up, who knows whenever I'm recording these videos. So you want to subscribe, hit that subscribe button, so that way you know that you want to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button so you can show up here. Hit the follow button on Twitch.tv/GBS_Playz, and you'll pop up too. Just want to let them know. Kind of funny that happened, by the way. I ain't gonna lie. That kind of.
And even though they have a much higher rate of 5%, the system still felt pretty bad for most players. Now there is a pity system, but that pity only comes after 250 pulls. And the amount of free cubes, which is the currency you use to actually gamble in this game, you get by being fully F2P is pretty damn low compared to that. With most players agreeing upon needing to save for around 6 months to guarantee an SSR unit, which comes out to 12,500 cubes every month, which is honestly really low compared to the pity and gacha system, further cementing how much of a cash grab this game is supposed to be. There are also quite a few greedy practices when it comes to the gacha system, not only giving paying players basically triple the pulls when using paid currency, but also having rerun banners only accessible through paid currency. Now this is all pretty bad already.
I am so lucky that no other gacha game picked this up, bro. Oh my god. It would have been the end of gacha if they all would have went this way, bro.
But they also started accelerating updates to catch up with the JP version. Even with the patch acceleration, there was still a lack of rewards, and there were even more limited character banners, and it all just ended up being a complete mess. Now in the next video there will be another game that also did patch merging to catch up with another version, but it's on the most loved list because it actually did patch merging correctly. Maybe JJK Phantom Parade will get better when they finally do reach the same update schedule as the JP version, but for now, this game is losing revenue almost every single month, which is definitely a feat. Even Infinity Nikki started picking.
I know what they tried to do there. They had the Gojo where he was like he was going crazy type thing. I love how they had him as a profile, as a new picture thing. By the way, I see what you're doing here. I see what you're doing. Gojo ain't gonna bring you back though.
Things back up. Things are shaky for
JJK.
JJK.
Probably just there in the story where that
parade. However, the following games on this list have a much more cemented fan base, and while there is a ton of drama and hate surrounding those two next games,
what did I just say? Hold on.
Fan.
Also, as if adding a blur effect on the icon will hide these games somehow. I know, right? Obviously, that's Genshin and Honkai. Just like the other ones was obviously Jujutsu Kaisen and freaking Infinite Nikki. It really ain't that hard to tell.
And while there is a ton of drama and hate surrounding those two next games, there are still simultaneously some of the most popular gacha games of all time. Of course, I'm talking about Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail. Now, we'll be talking about these two separately, but since they are so popular, I am sure I will be getting players defending these two games. I mean, they're still constant chart toppers, and make basically the most amount of money in this video, and definitely more than even any other game on the most loved list. They are no doubt successful, and I'm only talking about the drama and general player dissatisfaction surrounding these two games. So let's start with Genshin Impact. Since this is in order, I do feel like Genshin Impact definitely has much more dissatisfaction around it, because it has been brewing for so long, while Honkai Star Rail is just a much younger game. So Genshin Impact obviously is the highest grossing gacha game of all time. It started off as one of the best gacha games players have ever seen, being not only pretty unique in the gacha space, but also seemingly having a pretty high budget compared to other games. To start with why this game is so hated, because of how much drama has surrounded this game over the years, from creators constantly clashing over and over again to Genshin players attacking other games constantly, including Honkai Star Rail, as well as others like Wuthering Waves. Some even tried to completely take WoW off the market because they are so insecure about their game, and other incidents like actual bomb threats and torturing cats. And this basically ended up giving Genshin players one of the worst.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be so for
like
right
actual
here.
Bomb threats.
I'm gonna be so honest. The bomb threats and the cat thing, I don't blame that on the game itself. That is not the game's fault or the company's fault that a freaking psychopath plays their game, bro. That's not their fault. They can't control who plays the game or not. Like, the most they can control is probably what age that you should gotta be to play the game, right? They can't just look at everybody and be like, well, this person looks kind of a little suspicious here, guys. Like, bro, it's not their fault. That's not their fault. Like, yeah, like that is in probably every genre, every space. There are weirdos like that, bro. Like, it's literally people that used to stalk celebrities, bro. Like, because they're like, oh my gosh, it's my favorite movie, I'm gonna stalk this, bro. Like, bro, come on now. Like that's weirdos are just everywhere with that. Okay,
and torturing cats, and this basically ended up giving Genshin players one of.
But I know some people like blame Genshin for that, and I'm like, I have heard some people literally say, I blame Genshin for these two things. Like, bro, it's not their fault. That ain't their problem, bro. That's something that should have been looked at through many times in people's lives if they doing stuff like that.
The worst reputations on the internet. So it's safe to say that the game's reputation, or at the very least its player base's reputation, has always been in the dirt.
Oh my gosh,
so let's talk about what makes the actual game itself hated by its own current or former player base. I mean, just as a side note, I have a theory that half of Wuthering Waves' current player base is just people who are fed up by Genshin Impact.
His theory is fact.
And went to play an actually well-made product. So while the game was made on what seems to be an incredibly solid foundation, from a well-built 3D art style that showed a lot of promise when it came to animations and well-built visuals, to a decent movement system around the open world, to what seemed to be a pretty decently expandable combat system. Although this was
I'm gonna be honest with Genshin, I just think they got lazy, to be honest. I think that's the real reason why.
Quickly proven wrong, as the devs for this game seem to not only hate listening to the player base, but also just hate the idea of expanding upon what they built and making it better. Complaints about the game started a really long time ago, and they first stemmed from the game having very little or otherwise just boring content. Story quests were pretty badly made despite how much money the game made monthly, taking hours and hours while being just constant dialogue or otherwise being pretty boring. Another from big events also.
Okay, actually, in the beginning of Genshin, it wasn't actually that boring. Like, I'm gonna be honest, it was not that boring. It's near the later parts where they start just being like, let's just dump 8,000 texts into this and like 1 minute of cutscenes spread out between that, so that way these people can actually, have something to look at. And it's like, bro, why? Because like ZZZ, like I know they have teams that can do it. ZZZ literally does it, bro. Like they literally sit here and like it'd be like some dialogue and like characters moving around, all that, but that's because like the ZZ engine, right? But also like dialogue, yada yada yada, and then cutscene, dialogue, yada yada, long cutscene, yada yada, cutscene, yada yada, cutscene, right? But in Genshin and Honkai, it's like they just don't want to do it, bro. I don't know what it is. Upgrade the engine or something. I don't know. But like, cause like Genshin, they just sit there, they yap. Then you got Paimon, revising the yap of the yap to like yap to you, like you don't understand what they just said in the first place. But then I'm like, bro, oh my gosh, Paimon, shut up, bro. Like, I don't need you to say that the dragons are green when he already said the dragons are green. But like, whatever. But that's what I think, right? Because then don't get me started on Honkai, bro. Them youngers just add this text of the text, 8-hour long text dialogue things that at this point. Yeah, but then like they just don't want to add cutscenes for certain things, and they give you like a minute or two worth of cutscenes throughout the 8-hour patch, but then like they give you a lot of black and white screens as text as well, by the way, which is kind of crazy in my opinion. But I don't know. Like Honkai just gave up at some point. Genshin gave up at some point. I just hope that ZZZ just like keeps on going, bro.
So just being yap fests, smaller events always felt kind of pointless.
And yes, that was a yap fest. Subscribe.
And felt like they just didn't mean.
Also, to be honest, like if you subscribe to IC, it's pretty good. Your thing will pop up too. And also another thing is that I have a channel membership, so you should like really like look into that.
Much to the game. A while ago, the Abyss was the only piece of endgame content, and for like 3.5 years that stayed true. Meta players had only one thing to enjoy, and that was log in once every 2 weeks and do some combat, that while it seemed exciting at the start, quickly became boring and started feeling more like a game of rock, paper, scissors. Now while there are other pieces of endgame content, the general perception of Genshin's
the other two endgame content is trash. I'll be honest. Like I didn't play a new one, but the theater one is freaking garbage, bro. Like it takes so long to do. But then it's like, oh, you can't use these specific characters. Like, bro, I just want to use my characters that I paid for.
Endgame is that it's pretty goddamn boring, with all 3 modes having the same concept of complete this before the timer ends. The Abyss is just the bland one. Imaginarium Theater is the one that forces you to build way too many characters and restricts other characters.
Like it makes you like, it's like, oh, by the way, like I forgot about that. It makes you build characters that you wouldn't really use regularly. But guess what? If you got to build these characters that you like, they also give you like trial versions as well, right? Which is actually pretty good because let's be real, Genshin Impact, you can't really build all of them characters like that unless you playing the game 24/7. But at the end of the day, if you're playing the game 24/7, you're probably free to play, which means you can't even get all the characters in the first place. So you can build them stronger than the trial version of themselves.
Characters, and Stygian Onslaught is just
it's the biggest piece of dog shit.
Power creep and HP inflation also started becoming a problem ever since a couple months ago, which means that the game's massively casual player base is having an even harder time with the endgame content. And now the combat went from a game of rock, paper, scissors to, do you have the newest unit or not? Finally, Natlan is also one of the most hated nations in the game. A lot of the character designs are really disliked. For example, even though Mavrika is smoking hot, the design really doesn't fit the game, and the overall story of Natlan is disliked by a lot of people, because it never really felt like a nation of war, more like the nation of the power of friendship and DJs for some reason. Other than that, the game is also just pretty damn greedy, with the double Mavrika Sitlali banner being one of the...
I would say this every time that he says this, Wuwa doing the same stuff.
Biggest examples, as well as just not being very F2P friendly and not giving enough ways for players to get pulls by doing content. Now obviously, it's no secret that I really don't like Genshin Impact, and The Rock doesn't either.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
But I do think that the next region, Note Cry, does seem to have a lot of promise, and for the sake of everybody who does still play Genshin Impact and genuinely just wants people to like their game...
Well, I ain't gonna lie, I may come back. I'm coming back. I'm coming back to this game.
I do wish for the devs to pull up their big boy pants and actually make some good content in Note Cry. After all, I have a C3 Ganyu, and if I could have enough reason to go back to the game just to see 6her, I wouldn't be angry. Although, she'll still probably be useless in the endgame content because of Skirk. Now, it's also no secret that I think Honkai Star Rail is another
It's the
biggest piece of dog
shit.
because it used to be my favorite gacha game, and now I'm just
Same.
disappointed with everything they're doing.
Same.
Well, basically, everything making Genshin players mad is the same thing.
Like that. The Dark March 7th. I'm actually interested in that, but like the rest of the story, I'm not. Like, I'll be honest. We been on that planet too long, bro. Like, I don't care anymore. It should have ended when we like beat the nuke or whatever, like where we basically sold him or whatever, and then find like it should have ended there. Like, why are we going through this one more time? Like, I know story wise, I know why, but I'm like, bro, we've been here for so many patches. Let's just move on. Let's just go, please. Let's just go to another planet. But the only thing that's keeping me interested in the story is literally that Evil March 7th, because I just want to see her be put in the game, and I want to see what the hell's going on with that. Like, that's the only thing that's keeping me here. I'm gonna be honest. She looks so
making
cool.
Honkai Star Rail players mad. Although HSR players are a lot more happy with their game's current state than Genshin players because of all the character buffs going on right now, and because 3.3 and 3.4 actually having a decently told story. Although
but then they dragging it, bro. But like I ain't gonna lie, like, the story was actually pretty fire. Like, I ain't gonna lie, it's just like the extra stuff near the the latest story we got. I just didn't care except for the March 7th part. But that's just me. That could just be me though.
there are still so many problems with this game that a lot of players are still complaining about, and there are still many things that have disappointed players even in 3.4. The biggest one is obviously the Fate collab having an incredibly boring and unimpressive story, mostly because it's told very lazily, and also just because the entire story itself felt very useless.
You want to know how lazy it is? Because he didn't say it. He didn't say it. Hold on. We going full screen with this one. All right. Oh, excuse me. You want to know how lazy it is? It's so lazy that they decided to not pay their voice actors to just voice act some lines for a collab story. Like, I understand. Me personally, I understand that you probably couldn't get the English voice actors for like Saber and right? Maybe they doing other stuff. Maybe they're part of the writer guild that don't really like Hoyoverse right now and stuff like that, right? Okay, I understand that. But for them to sit there, make this collab story, say they've been working on it for a year, for them to release something where it's like no dialogue at all. We're gonna have this magical ability. Okay. Oh, we're only gonna make this do one thing, which is basically, oh, you're in a silent film. Magic ability, oh, crazy. Oh, guess what? None of the characters going to be able to speak until for like 90% of the story, but to the last bit they will. And like, so like the story is about like 4 hours long, and you telling me that like y'all only had y'all voice actors do a dialogue of like maybe like 10 20 minutes, and then the rest is just like us reading. Why would we want to read? Why would we want to like literally everything else has dialogue in it, unless it don't really matter because it's like a side story, right? But like, you just have us read it. It's supposed to be a collab. I thought you're supposed to put effort in, but no, you don't. What? Like, bro, I ain't gonna lie. It irks me every time. I'll be honest. It irks me every time.
The event gameplay itself is also just another version of the Divergent universe, basically. Speaking of events, they also have been getting a lot more boring. The last actually enjoyable event was probably the War Dance, and ever since then, no event has been memorable, at least not for the right reasons. And these two issues are, of course, alongside the still rampant power creep, lack of 4-star units, and predatory practices. A lot of players especially felt that the recent character buffs, and no doubt the ones coming in the future, were just to sell new characters. If that is or isn't true doesn't really matter, because that's what players feel. Now, just like with Genshin and Not Cry, I also feel like Honkai Star Rail has the potential to completely reinvent itself in 4.0. They showed that they had the complete capability to make an engaging, well-told story in 3.3 and 3.4, so doing it in 4.0 is definitely possible. But 4.0 is especially important as well because of power creep and HP inflation. They have the chance to actually listen to the player base and add a power ceiling in 4.0, and basically stop all the power creep going on. And if they do, Honkai Star Rail will return to being one of the best gacha games, honestly, even if they don't fix most of the other issues. If 4.0 fixes power creep, I will go back to Honkai Star Rail E6 Evernight March 7th, but that's probably not gonna happen. Right, now we're up to the final game on this list, Dragon Ball Legends. Now, of course, this game is the least hated on this list, despite me basically shitting on the game every single time I make one of these videos. I mean, out of every single comment related to Dragon Ball Legends on my channel, 95% of them are shitting on the game, The hate for this game comes from its own community, with low rates, no pity system for ultra units, and a pretty unfair pity system for LF units. Players also complain frequently about power creep, and some characters have incredibly powerful dupes that they almost become reliant on, especially in the PvP content. Free-to-play PvP players also struggle to get a lot of things done in the PvP parts of the game, again because of all those powerful character dupes and power creep the whales are definitely getting their hands on. Now these might all sound pretty bad, especially to any disgruntled Genshin and HSR players, but the reason DBL players aren't as outraged about this as other game player bases seem to be is because DBL never really disappointed anybody. The game has always been like this, and anybody who didn't like it didn't stick around. It's not like Genshin where it used to be a power creep safe haven, and then became worse, and it's not like HSR where things went so wrong so quickly. Dragon Ball Legends knows its player base, and despite the people who quit really hating it, and despite a lot of current players still having a lot of qualms about it, it's still a pretty popular game. Aside from those issues, there's really not much to hate the game for. The story is great and the combat is incredibly well made. If you're willing to put up with these things, which a lot of Dragon Ball fans, surprisingly, based on how well the game seems to be doing basically all the time, are willing to put up with all of this, then the game is pretty enjoyable. I mean, in defense of this game, there's still a lot of skill involved in the game, and even a completely free-to-play player can still get pretty lucky with their units and also become pretty skilled at the game. Otherwise, there are still people who enjoy wailing on this game, despite the very shafty gacha system. Otherwise, if you don't enjoy it, you could still go play Dokkan Battle instead, but then you're literally just playing Dragon Ball themed Candy Crush. Pick your poison, I guess. Dragon Ball themed Candy Crush or Dragon Ball pay to win hell. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I've really enjoyed making this video. The research on the new games was pretty fun to do. Make sure to remember to check out the next video about the most loved gacha games, which will also...
Now, if this video get at least 5 likes, I'm gonna react to the other video, okay? But anyway, other than that, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. You don't forget to share the video. This video been going on all way too long anyway. I must have been yapping at some point because this is a 15-minute video and I'm almost at 30. But anyway, moves on caffeine, W YouTuber. I'm telling you, W YouTuber, definitely should follow him. Definitely should subscribe to him as well. Like, I'm loving his content right now, I'll be honest. Like, I hit that subscribe button too. I hit it too. Subscribe to him, subscribe to me. GBS Playz on all platforms, even on Twitch at GBS_Playz at twitch.tv.com, okay? Twitch.tv/GBS_Playz, okay? But anyway, other than that, I'll see y'all guys in the next video. Oh my gosh, that hurt my head. Oh, that hurt my head. Okay, I'll see y'all guys later. Peace out, bye.